made to play that real live shit.
Can you dig it?
Can you dig it?
Yeah, I can dig it, yeah.
Right on.
Live and direct.
Can you dig it? Dig it, dig it. Can you dig it? Can you dig it?
Dig it, dig it, dig it.
You wanna bounce in your whip with that real live shit. Two.
Thank you, JJ.
1 2 1 1 2 1 2 1 2 1 2 1 2
1 2 1 2 2. Please, man, don't give me that move.
Okay, I guess they just listening as well. Real quick, before we go to the next caller, Bobby, I have a question from the chat room. The person, thegiftmates.com, they have a question. They want to know, Bobby, what is your view on other teachers who teach that the reptiles, Anunnaki, came down to this earth, are the real evil ones, and they gave us all of our gods starting back from Sumeria and up through the ages?
Okay, what this is, see, in order to understand what's going on, you got to actually own the certain text. I got that from Dr. Ben. See, Dr. Ben would put it up and put something up a nigga's ass because he owned rare texts. Dr. John Henry Clark owned rare texts. So one thing about a person after collecting all of this stuff for the last 20-something years, about 22 years, I was able to collect these rare texts. And this whole thing started from the history of it with the reptilians, and all of that started from Zachariah Sitchin. Now, Zachariah Sitchin is the one, and then later on, Dr. York got into it, Zachariah Sitchin's works, as well as other people. But in all honesty, he was trying to make a history and create a history for a Jewish organization that wanted to create a history around the land of Samaria that reference that is more connected to the Tigris and the Euphrates, other than Mount Kilimanjaro, Africa, which we know that the oldest people is on the continent. So in so many words, back about 32 years ago, Zachariah Sitchin started coming, and he was doing this particular research. And so he took ancient texts. These same texts you can get the myths and legends of Mesopotamia, the Gilgamesh epics, the Enuma Elish epics, the Inanna Queen of Heaven epics, the Chaldean Oracle epics, and these particular epics and stuff, and these particular texts that came from Samaria. He took Egyptian texts, and in so many words, when they would say reptilian and they would talk about the Kundalini energy, or they would talk about Nagars, the serpent people, you see what I'm saying, talking about the people who have access to the Kundalini energy, he would just write these things as reptilians from other planets. You see, so he basically created a new mythology out of existing mythology that was talking about the esoteric sciences. And I tell anybody this. Well, they got these extraterrestrials. And I said, well, have you seen these extraterrestrials, and have you made contact with these extraterrestrials? Because if you haven't made contact and stuff, you're just arguing. Now, yes, there are extraterrestrials, but they are more on the spirit realm. So when we talk about these angels that we've been talking about, these Huna spirits from Hawaii, those are the extraterrestrials, but they are from the spirit realm. And so what he did, he took sublime mythology and made it literal. And if you ever own, then the problem here is most people can only get stuff from secondary information because they don't own these texts. I am fortunate enough I didn't eat in the 90s. I bought books. And let me tell you how serious this was. I went to the bookstore 7 days a week. Hard to believe. I went from the bookstores from 1992 to 2000. If I wasn't traveling 7 days a week, and when I would go to other cities, and all my money went to buying these ancient texts and buying all this stuff, and buying all this stuff and all. And I think I bought 100 books this year. So my point here is there's no end. So the thing about it here is the people are victims of secondary sources. So they're not able to tell when they get this particular information. Well, I want to know what the ancient texts come from. Sometimes you go and say, well, study the ancient text, and then come back with your conclusion and not the secondary text, which is someone's theology. And basically that theology started with Zachariah Sitchin. It was furthered with Dr. York. It was also furthered with David Icke and that whole crew. But that's a theology. You see what I'm saying? That's a theology. But if you study the ancient mythology, you will see that this stuff is more scientific and more spiritual than it is literal.